following program will show tuning tips on the Channel Master .84-meter dual satellite antenna kit using the Applied Instruments SAT-9520 and the Motorola DSR 410DS receiver. This video does not cover all the proper mounting or grounding guidelines of the many possible configurations of the systems. Instead, it concentrates on assembly and connection of the dual satellite receiving system and was designed to aid you in tuning the antenna for simultaneous reception of Galaxy 4R and Telstar 6. WSNet recommends that you read and follow all the manufacturer's instructions and recommendations for whatever type of installation you'll be performing. We'd also recommend that you follow both the manufacturer's recommendations and the national, state, regional, and local electrical codes in regards to the grounding of your system. If you experience problems after watching this video, you may call WSNet's technical department for further support. We'd like to take this opportunity to thank you for choosing the WSNet platform. How to assemble and aim the WSNet dual satellite antenna. The purpose of this video is to demonstrate the proper installation procedures for the simultaneous reception of two satellites, Telstar 6 and Galaxy 4R, in order to receive the full array of programming included in the WSNet digital service. We will demonstrate the installation using the Channel Master .84-meter elliptical antenna and non-penetrating roof mount. The LDW2 kit, which includes the universal wall roof mount assembly, and the LDP2 kit with the in-ground base pipe will also be discussed. Please remember that there are numerous other mounting options to suit your specific installation requirements. Before we begin the installation, take a few moments to review the installation manual. Please heed the safety precautions on pages 1 and 2. You'll also find recommended foundation requirements for in-ground base installations and important information on proper grounding techniques. On page 7 is a chart to locate the latitude and longitude for your area. Find your approximate location on the map. We will use Austin, Texas, so we locate it on the chart and mark it. Then reference the latitude and longitude as close to the mark as possible. For Austin, the longitude is 97 and latitude is 30. Write these numbers down to remember them later. In order to locate the settings for our location, we'll go to the satellite longitude chart for 96 degrees. Locate our longitude of 97 degrees on the top line of the chart and locate the latitude, 30, down the left side of the chart. Follow the lines down and over until they intersect. This will be the azimuth, elevation, and skew tilt settings for your area. For Austin, we have an azimuth of 178, elevation of 55, and a skew tilt of 91.7, or rounded off to 92. Write these coordinates down to be used later. Once you've located the coordinates for your location, you may proceed to select a mounting location for the antenna that allows a clear line of sight to the satellites. An accurate compass and inclinometer will help to locate a good location for the antenna. Let's take a look at the mount options for your installation. The LDW2 kit contains the universal wall mount assembly. The LDP2 kit contains the in-ground base pipe. The non-penetrating roof mount, available separately, will be used for this demonstration. Be sure to use the appropriate mount for each installation. This is the Azel cap. The diameter is 2 3/8 inches, and all of the mount options that we've discussed use this 2 3/8 inch outside diameter pipe attachment. On the back, you have the dish skew tilt plate. This adjustment allows for compensation of the elevation difference between the two satellites, which varies depending upon your geographic location. On the side is the elevation adjustment. The feed support arm, LNBs, and feed assembly are pre-assembled and fixed at the correct spacing for the two satellites used for the WSNet programming services. Telstar 6 at 93 degrees west longitude and G4R at 99 degrees west longitude. The feed assembly is designed for simultaneous reception of both. Here are the dual LNBs. Each has two outputs, vertical and horizontal polarity, in the L-band, 950 to 1450 MHz frequency range. Here are the two LNB covers, which is where you'll find the hardware kit for the antenna assembly. The feed arm adapter is shipped separately. Make certain that this adapter is included with your kit. This is the Channel Master .84 meter antenna reflector. Constructed of polyester sheet mold compound in the horizontal elliptical shape, the antenna is well suited for dual satellite reception. The weatherproof outdoor box houses the multi-switch and diplexers if needed. This is the Channel Master 2-output multi-switch, which is included in the kit. This completes the list of the parts included in the LDW2 kit. Let's review the list. The wall roof mount, Azel cap, feed arm assembly, LNB covers and hardware kit, antenna reflector, weatherproof box, multi-switch, and the feed arm adapter, which may be shipped separately. Now let's look at putting it all together. After securing your mount, be sure to plumb the base pipe carefully. It's very important that the pipe is perfectly vertical. Place the Azel cap on the pipe and loosen the elevation locking and pivot bolts. Now adjust the elevation to a comfortable height. In the center of the reflector are 4 holes. Insert 1 or 2 of the plow bolts and place the reflector to the back plate. Secure with remaining bolts, nuts, and lock washers. In the bottom of the reflector is an indentation where the feed support arm attaches. There's a small spacer that's inserted into the bottom of the feed support arm to prevent the arm from collapsing when you tighten it. Place the spacer in the end of the feed arm and thread the bolt through the holes. Place the feed arm adapter onto the feed arm to fit the contour of the dish. Insert the assembly into the hole in the bottom of the dish and secure with the nut and lock washer and torque to manufacturer specifications. Check page 1 of the installation manual for recommended torque specifications on all the hardware. With the dish assembled, reference the azimuth, elevation, and skew tilt for the dish that we noted earlier. On the side of the Azel cap is the elevation scale, marked in 10-degree increments from 10 to 90 degrees. Our location calls for a 55-degree elevation angle. Adjust the elevation bolt counterclockwise to raise it to approximately 55 degrees. The indicator is the top of the straight metal bracket right above the nut behind the curved slot. This will be set on 55 for our location here in Austin. On the back of the dish is the skew tilt. The skew tilt for our area is 91.7, so you can round it up to 92. On the back of the Azel cap is a set of numbers that will run from 0 at the bottom to 180 at the top. This is the skew tilt. Locate the indicator mark and turn or rotate the dish until the indicator is lined up with 92. Tighten the skew tilt locking bolts. Do not readjust the skew tilt while aligning the antenna. Now the dish is assembled and the rough elevation is set. Snug the bolts just enough to allow for movement of the antenna without too much wobble. The Channel Master Model 6602 multi-switch is designed for installations with 1 or 2 set-top receivers. The Model 6904 multi-switch has outputs for up to 4 receivers. Both switches supply the appropriate polarity to the receiver by sensing the voltage, 13 or 18 volts DC, 13 volts for vertical and 18 for horizontal. The satellite is selected by the presence or lack of presence of a 22 kHz signal. The receiver supplies a 22 kHz tone when a channel from T6 is selected and no tone when a G4R channel is selected. The LNBs are marked with an H and V, indicating your horizontal and vertical output on each LNB. On the dish side of the feed bracket, you'll find one side labeled SAT-A and the other SAT-B. Connect the vertical output of the SAT-A LNB to the SAT-A vertical input port of the 6602 multi-switch, then continue to connect all of the LNB outputs to their respective ports as follows. SAT-A LNB vertical to A 13-volt side of the multi-switch. SAT-A LNB horizontal to A 18-volt side of the multi-switch. SAT-B LNB vertical to B 13-volt side of the multi-switch. SAT-B LNB horizontal to B 18-volt side of the multi-switch. The multi-switch is labeled Output 1 and Output 2. This is where you'll attach the cable that goes to the receiver, or insert a diplexer if combining with VHF signals. Normally, on a single-family house, the multi-switch is installed in the MDU box located somewhere near the utilities entrance. This is typically the closest place to access a good ground source and the customer's existing cable. Please refer to local codes for proper grounding procedures. There's a ground lug on the multi-switch that may fulfill your requirements. Where the L&B attaches to the feed horn on the front side, you'll find 4 7mm bolts and an indicator mark for the L&B skew adjustment. There's a 0 in the middle, and on one side there's a -40, and on the other side there's a +40. Loosen these 4 7mm bolts until you can turn the L&B. Set both of the units to 0 on the mark on the feed throat. Next, we'll set the azimuth heading on the dish. Take a compass reading from directly behind the dish and find 178 degrees. Point the dish in the direction that you found on the compass. Now find something in the distance to mark the azimuth so you'll be able to reference it later. Now that the dish is set up, we've preset our azimuth, elevation, and our skew tilt on the back of the dish, and we have our multi-switch in place. We're ready to tune the dish in. This is the Applied Instruments SAT 9520 digital meter. This meter has the frequency map for both G4R and T6 pre-programmed. The 9520 will supply the correct voltage and tone necessary to align the antenna without the need to connect a receiver or television. Connect a coaxial cable from the output of the multi-switch to the input of the meter. Turn the meter on by pressing the on-off button. When the meter powers up, reference the top, middle of the display. This will indicate the channel plan the meter's currently on. We'll be using the WSNet dual channel plan. If the display indicates anything other than this, it'll have to be changed. To change the channel plan, press the Setup button and the setup screen will be displayed. Use the down arrow on the right side of the meter until on Channel Plan. Once the cursor is on Channel Plan, press the Enter button, then press the up or down arrow until the display reads WSNet Dual. Press the Enter button again, then press the Run button, and this will take you back to the area where you can measure the signal. This will allow you to measure the signal on all 12 transponders on G4 and all 6 transponders on T6. The top left of the display will indicate either G4R or T6. The center of the display will indicate WSNet Dual, and the right portion will indicate the frequency the meter is set on. Pressing the up or down arrow keys will allow you to surf through the transponders and change satellites. The second line on the meter reads under dBm. This indicates that there's no satellite signal present. This will read the actual signal level for the transponder that you're tuned to once you have acquired a satellite. The third line reads IRD. This will display a reading of 0 to 20 when no satellite signal is present, and it will increase to above 20 when a satellite transponder with the DigiCypher 2 signal is tuned. A reading of 65 or above is desirable. This is similar to the signal level reading displayed by the receiver's on-screen signal meter. The fourth line will indicate LNB off. Press the LNB button and a red LED will indicate power is being supplied to the LNB. The fourth line will now read SAT-A when tuned to G4R transponders or SAT-B when tuned to T6. Tune the meter to G4R, transponder 4, and start sweeping the dish from your left to your right. Now, it doesn't matter which direction you start, but stay within the general area of the landmark that you noted earlier. Move the dish to the left and right while watching for an indication of signal on the meter. This meter also has an audio tone to help locate the satellite. The tone will beep slowly when no signal is present, and when you acquire a signal, the tone will beep faster and the IRD reading will start to increase. Continue to adjust the azimuth and elevation to peak for the strongest signal and IRD reading. Since WSNet uses FSS satellites, there will be other satellites that share the same frequencies. You should verify other transponders to make sure that you are on G4R. Switch to the next transponder by pressing the up arrow on the meter. This will switch to transponder 5. If you're pointed at G4R, the meter should display signal and IRD readings comparable to transponder 4. Once you've locked onto a signal on both transponders 4 and 5, you want to scan through the rest of the transponders on G4R. You should have signal on all 12 transponders. If all of the G4R transponders are present, then continue scanning through the T6 transponders. You should find signals present on all 6 transponders if the antenna is aimed at the correct satellites. This will be accomplished by slightly adjusting the dish from left to right to reach the highest signal level. Snug up the bolts on the pole mount. And next, go to the elevation adjustment on the dish and adjust the elevation up or down until you reach the highest signal level. Once you reach the highest signal level on G4R, tune to a transponder on T6 and check for peak signal. When you have reached the highest signal level possible on both satellites, carefully tighten the bolts on the Azel cap. Continue to watch the signal meter while tightening the bolts to make sure the dish doesn't move as the bolts are tightened. If you are unable to achieve maximum signal levels on both satellites at the same azimuth elevation setting, you may need to adjust the skew tilt setting. Before adjusting the skew tilt, recheck that the mount pipe is plumb and that the back plate has been installed according to the instructions. Now that the dish is tuned in, tighten all of the hardware to the manufacturer's specifications. Install the LNB covers and connect the cables to the set-top receivers in the house. To verify reception at the set-top receiver, press the SAT button on the remote and press the power button. This will turn the receiver on. Channel 255 will be displayed. Press channel 204 on the remote to tune to an active transponder on G4R. On the front of the receiver, there'll be a green satellite light indicating that the receiver has signal if everything's functioning correctly. Next, press options 631 on the remote control. This will display Tune In Satellite Signal. Now on your remote control, press the number 4 key. The number 4 should appear in the yellow highlighted box in the upper right-hand portion of the screen. Then press number 1, number 6, and the number 0. The box in the center of the screen should now read Correct Signal Found. On the bottom of the screen, there'll be a green signal bar indicating signal. This number should be a minimum of 65, verifying that there's adequate signal on this channel. Press the exit button on the remote control. Press channel 210, then press options 631 and again verify the signal level on the bottom of the screen. While on this screen, press the channel up button on the remote. This will change the channel to 211. Again, you'll want to verify the signal level on the bottom of the screen. Typically, the signal reading should range from 80 to 90, depending upon your geographic location, weather conditions, and length of cable. Press option 64 on the remote. This will display the system status screen. The lower portion of the screen will show the trip counter and number of trips at 0. You may then call for an authorization to activate the customer's services. You should see the trip counter increment up by several counts when the authorization is sent to the unit. Next, verify the signal levels on the following channels by pressing options 631 on the remote control. These channels should have a minimum signal level of 65 or better. Channel 201 ESPN2 G4R Vertical Polarity. Channel 204 ESPN Classic G4R Horizontal Polarity. Channel 200 ESPN T6 Vertical Polarity. Channel 220 TNN East T6 Horizontal Polarity. If the signal levels are below 65, you'll need to readjust the dish to maximize the signal level. If you experience problems after watching this video, you may call WSNet's technical department for further support. Thank you for choosing the WSNet platform.